welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I'm Vicky Fraser, and this, despite the fact that he doesn't look like he normally looks, is my husband Joe.
Hello.
Hello. And I really thoroughly recommend that if you're listening to the audio version of this, you hop over to YouTube and have a look at the video version of it, because Joe begged me for a week to bleach his hair and then dye it a funny colour. So at the moment he is sporting a really fine ginger nut.
I have gone extraordinarily ginger.
It's great. I love a ginger.
I'm not sure I begged you for a week.
You
I don't
did.
think that's quite what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
I just figured that, with the whole corona crisis and all that nonsense, that sooner or later I'm going to go back to, buzz cutting my own head. And if I'm going to do that, now's the time to experiment with, ridiculous hair colours, because I don't have to be an adult at the moment. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to see anybody.
Speaking of not being an adult at the moment, we'll come to the Quarantine Chronicles in a moment, because so many things have happened. And Joe's ginger hair is only the first of the coronavirus, the corona apocalypse crisis things that have happened at Casa Dingle. So
Has a lot happened?
Well, we'll come to that, Joe.
Okay.
But yeah, this is podcast 209, by the way.
Jeepers.
I know. This podcast is all about greed, because we're still doing the 7 Deadly Sins.
Have we not done 7 Deadly Sins yet?
No, we've got one more after this.
Really?
Yeah, then we're done.
And then is there a conclusion and a wrap-up? Or is the 7th one it?
Oh, we could do a conclusion and a wrap-up, couldn't we? Yeah, we'll do that. That's a really good idea, Joe.
And then people can just listen to the conclusion wrap-up summary rather than the 7. It's like the cliff notes on the last 7 podcasts.
How? I am hurt.
Okay.
And then I've got another series planned after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell us?
Not now.
Okay.
You're going to have to tune in next week to find out. Or maybe even the week after.
Usually that means she hasn't actually got a plan.
I have got a plan. How dare you? Anyway, what are we reading? Joe, what are you reading at the moment? Oh, God. Actually, what are we drinking? We're drinking rhubarb gin and tonic, so I'm going to have a sip while Joe tells you what he's reading.
Well, regular listeners might be surprised to hear that I am reading Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, which appears to be a never-ending cycle of fantasy books.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm on book 9, maybe 10. I don't know. I'm reading them on a Kindle, so they all just kind of blur into one.
We'll get to the year 2035. We'll still be in quarantine, and Joe will still be reading the Wheel of Time.
Becoming a thing. If any of our dear listeners out there have read the entirety of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, do let me know.
Yeah, actually do. And
I'd like to know that it finishes at some point.
And whether it's worth it. I, on the other hand, and fiction-wise, I'm reading The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Now, Erin Morgenstern also wrote The Night Circus, which I read a few years ago and loved. And The Starless Sea is her latest book, and I love it so much that I'm deliberately reading it slowly because I don't want it to end.
Oh,
I love it so much. It's just fabulous. It's like a story within a story within a story, and it's like a love letter to books and stories.
Nice.
I love it. I love it so much. And non-fiction, I'm still reading Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson, which I wasn't reading. The first 17 pages or so did not grab me. And then we did the Bookaholics group call, and 2 people on the call, Louise, hi Louise, and Yinka, hi Yinka.
Hey Yinka.
Both extolled its virtues and made me want to read on. And so I am reading on, and it is getting better. But that just, slight tangent, super important that the first 20 pages or so needs to not bore you of your book, because otherwise people will put it down. They really will, because
it bounce off.
Yeah, because you get Joe is so invested in the Wheel of Time now that he's probably never going to stop reading it. But if the first book had been total crap, would you still be reading it?
No,
of course you wouldn't. And so that's really, really important. And it's important that the book then gets better and better. So you can't just have a good 20 first pages and then make the rest of it crap. It's but it's really important that the first pages grab you, because the only reason that I'm continuing to read Surrounded by Idiots is and it's not even that it was bad first 20 pages. I just was I have got a lot of things to do, and do you know what I mean? And this hasn't grabbed me.
This is falling down my list of things I want to do.
Exactly. And I'm really looking forward to the next book on the Bookaholics list as well. So I was I could just not read it. And the only reason I'm still reading it is because 2 of my friends told me that actually it's worth it.
Which normally isn't going to happen.
Which normally isn't.
Normally you just read a few pages and go... Pugh.
Exactly. So that is a little bonus lesson within within this podcast. Anyway, so the Quarantine Chronicles. I know that everybody will be on the edge of their seats. I'm very concerned about my eyebrows. They are beginning to get unruly, and that as my friend Susie Gray, hi Susie, who I interviewed today for the podcast actually.
Hi Susie.
She described her eyebrows as unruly beasts rampaging across her forehead, and then I saw her today and her eyebrows looked amazing. So I'm also worried about my fringe. If you're watching this, you can see that my fringe is getting a bit in my face. So I asked my hairdresser for
Hi May.
A fringe tutorial, which she duly sent to me, and I pinged her some money. I don't even know if she's noticed that I did that. And yes, I'm going to cut my own fringe, and that leads me on to what we've been doing during lockdown. And the first and probably the most dramatic is bleaching Joe's hair. And we were going to dye it like lime green or bright orange. We've got to go bright orange for Beaker.
Bright orange for Beaker, maybe.
Because Joe actually does look like Beaker. Do your Beaker face. See? He looks like Beaker. Which is amazing. So we're going to dye his hair bright orange, and then next time we're going to dye it purple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I dyed you dyed my hair.
I dyed your hair blue.
And it looks great. You did such a good job. I'm really pleased with it.
I was terrified.
Oh, it looks fantastic. I'm really, really pleased with it.
Okay, thank you. Good.
So that was cool. But we're not bleaching my hair because...
That's a bit serious, isn't it?
That's a bit serious. I'm just going to have to wait until I can go
my
see
hair,
me.
there's like zero risk because
You
I
can
can
just buzz it off.
I can just set my clippers to 1 and just buzz it all off.
Plus, your hair is like super thick and
Super
healthy.
hefty, yeah.
And my hair, while it's really healthy, is very, very fine. And if I ever bleach it, it will literally disintegrate. So there's no way I'm doing that. Anyway, so what else have we been up to? Me and Bronson have finally reached an agreement. Bronson is the biggest tiny sheep who thought he was in charge and kept trying to nut me. And I've discovered that actually all I have to do is advance on him.
Don't give him space to start the charge.
Yeah, don't give him... As soon as he backs up, I advance on him, and now we have an understanding, and now he's like, hi, I love you again. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So that's good.
That's good tactics for
tactics.
battling tiny sheep. Do not give them space to start a charge.
Joe's first corona crisis was the hair, and his second corona crisis was that I came into the house the other day to find him wielding a funny shaped package out of which he produced a ukulele. Would you like to explain that?
I don't really know what happened, but I kind of felt like I was spending a lot of time noodling around on my phone, and I thought, never learnt any musical instruments, and I thought a recorder would be just horrific.
Oh, that would end in divorce or possibly murder.
And also, just basically awful things at the best of times, aren't they? And I thought a ukulele would do it. So I bought a ukulele.
And I walked in and he was
they
like...
don't cost very much.
And he was like, oh, can you teach me to play the ukulele? And I was like, dude, I'm totally shit at the guitar, and the ukulele's got only 4 strings and just no. And all the strings are in the wrong order.
So I'm going through like free ukulele tutorials.
And he's already better than I am, and I'm furious. I am fucking furious about it.
I'm not. I've got about...
furious.
The thing with ukuleles is, A, they've only got 4 strings. B, there is very little skill required. And C...
I'm making like a... Don't... You've literally
honestly,
just insulted every single ukulele player who's any good.
I'm sure there's like...
Oh my God.
And skills involved in, advanced ukulele playing.
Oh my God.
But at the start, it seems like you need about 5 chords and you can just kind of strum, and as long as, you'll sound like an idiot on a beach in Hawaii. It's fine. It's honestly not a technical instrument. As far as I can tell. I don't know.
So in 6 weeks or so, you can expect me and Joe to regale you with a duet in which Joe will play the ukulele badly and I will play the guitar badly, and... It will be great. Yeah.
I'm honestly resisting the urge. What's that song that you keep practicing?
Nothing Else Matters
Nothing
by
Else Matters
Metallica.
by
If you
Metallica.
start playing that, I will...
We
are done.
I'm really resisting the urge to find a ukulele tutorial for Nothing Else Matters by Metallica.
Divorce is really expensive and utterly impractical right now because we're not allowed to leave.
Yeah. So, I'm staying away from that.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've been doing that. Other things we've been doing is I managed to get hold of yeast, after which everybody was like, how many augers did you have to sell to get that? And I was like, I just ordered it on Amazon, dude. So we've now got a fridge full of yeast. So we need and then you baked bread, which we could actually knock out a burglar with.
It was serious.
And I'm not being mean. The bread is amazing, and it was Joe's very
tasted
first.
Great, it was my first ever bread, and it's It was pretty sturdy. We've
I
eaten it
was,
all now.
Yeah, we have. I was supposed to be helping you make the bread, but I had a bit of a meltdown yesterday, which I'll come to in a minute. And was just like, I can't deal with the fucking bread or the yeast.
You just like noped out of the kitchen in a bit of a huff. It was like, what?
Noped out the kitchen, and I'll explain why in a moment. We also discovered a thing called Snapcam, and we had 10 minutes of absolute hilarity with googly eyes.
Yes, so this is
filter, isn't it?
That was
a week ago.
By reason of somebody discovering on Facebook.
They turned themselves into a potato and couldn't turn themselves back again.
Yeah, so it was like one of those pictures you see on Facebook where somebody turned up to the meeting as a potato, and they like a Teams meeting. And I thought, you know what, that's what I need to do.
You turned up as a pickle.
So yeah, I found out how they do that, and I downloaded a thing, and now I can be a pickle in meetings.
And it was really funny, but we found the googly eyes, which is literally the best thing ever. And I swear to God, I had such a good abs workout from that because we were just sitting there going like googly eyes. And then 5 minutes later, I came back in, and you were on your meeting, and you were like, "I'm a pickle, can't you tell because of the bumps?" And you said that like 6 times, and I was just like, "What?" Anyway, so we did that. We played Cards Against Humanity with Kenda and Mike. Hi, Kenda and Mike. Over Zoom for Kenda's 30th birthday, which was really cool.
Very nice.
And we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons via Zoom with our good Dungeons and Dragon friend nerds, which has been lovely.
Hello, Dungeons and Dragon
nerds. Hi, guys. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth.
And we miss them. We miss you guys.
I know. So sad.
And I have been doing handstand workshops, so I've been working on my handstands.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been really cool. And then I couldn't lift my arms above my head the next day, which is cool. I've been dancing with Noodle.
Oh, he's a good lad.
He is a good lad. He was chair dancing with me last night. And if you go on to my Instagram at treefrogtoe, you will see me chair dancing with Noodle. And doing cool shoulder stands and things. And generally doing too much, which is what led to the yeast-based meltdown.
So we have discovered that one of the things that Vicky does in times of crisis is she absolutely fills her calendar with all of the things. And
for other people.
And leaves no space whatsoever to sit down and do nothing.
Yeah.
Or, go and look at the daffodils, or sit on a tussock and enjoy the sunshine. And
in all seriousness, I have, and it kind of worked for a couple of weeks because I did loads, and I did do some good stuff, and I was doing Zoom meetings for the neighbourhood and for the village, and we're wardens for the village, so we're doing shopping, and we're running around and picking up prescriptions and doing things, and I like doing that. And I'm certainly not going to stop doing that. But then I was like, I'm going to do all of the things for everybody all the time, and I kind of forgot to look after me. And so that was a good lesson. And we all kind of react to this differently, and I almost felt really stupid because I'm in a really fortunate position compared to a lot of people. Like, okay, so I've lost a big chunk of income and I'm running a business and blah blah, but that's a risk you take when you run a business. And I'm incredibly lucky that, touch all of the wood, your work and your business is okay at the moment. And we've got all this outside space.
We've got so much space.
God, we've got so much space. And I had money put aside for just such an eventuality, because I didn't want to be on my last penny if something went wrong. So it's I kind of feel like a bit of a dick being like, I've been really stressed, but it is weird. It's just weird. It's a weird time.
I mean, the whole. And
I miss my friends.
The rules of the game have changed, haven't they? Everything has changed very quickly. It's very disturbing. It's very unusual. Certainly nobody I know has been through this kind of thing before. It's upsetting. And
I miss my friends, and I'm worried about people that I love getting sick. And do you know what I mean? So but also I can appreciate how very fortunate and privileged we are to live here and have what we've got.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is, I think, partly why I wanted to help as many people as I could, because I feel like I'm just a privileged dick in an office.
Yeah, but at some point when you are, and another thing you're doing as well was signing up to all of the online fitness classes, which are great. Teaching some. So which, by the way, is why I'm dressed as Mrs. Motivator, and I feel like I need to show you my outfit right now because it's totally amazing. I just need to swap the view so that I can show you what I'm showing you. But okay, so I'm wearing a Dayglow yellow. Green.
It's yellow.
It's green.
But my leggings are Cthulhu, octopus leggings, and I feel like you need to see them in their full glory. I think I've got an octopus on my butt. In fact, have I got an octopus on my butt? I have got an octopus on my butt. So if you're listening to the audio of this, you can go and watch YouTube and see an octopus on my butt. But yeah, but that's been great. I'm going to be fitter than I've ever been.
Yes, but when you're teaching a class at 7:30 in the morning, doing all of the things, doing a full day, running around for the neighbours, doing all of the nice things, and then, I'm like, when can we have dinner? And you're like, well, I'll be finished by 9:30 at night.
I know, I'm sorry. Anyway, let's...
It all exploded with the yeast.
Yeah.
The yeast was complicated, and it was like, fuck this, I'm off.
I noped out of the kitchen. I was also super hungry, which didn't help. Anyway, this is all about greed, and actually maybe we can just tie this in. I was like being greedy about doing all of the things and making your life miserable, apparently.
You weren't making my life miserable.
I was trying to do the best I could.
You did very well.
Anyway, I've also been practicing my guitar every day, which is good.
Have you?
So, yeah. So, anyway, so the 7 deadly sins, number 6, is greed. And the punishment for greed, according to the Bible, is being boiled alive in oil.
That doesn't sound good.
Does not sound good. And also, it's like, how did they come up with these punishments, and why specifically? Maybe... I know. Hi, Jen.
Well, hi, Jen.
Jen wrote in with interesting information about the origins of the 7 deadly sins. So, Jen, can you tell us why they came up with these punishments and what the logic was? What the logic was behind them?
Well, maybe being deep fat fried is, that's a food thing.
Well, no, we're talking greed for like wealth, power, status, because gluttony is greed for food, isn't it? Anyway, so greed, let's define greed. Greed is wanting or acquiring more than you need. And I would add also depriving others, because I think it's really important to distinguish between greed and ambition.
All right.
Because, okay, so one of the other definitions of greed was like an insatiable longing for more power, wealth or status and never being satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I think not being satisfied is a really useful thing when it comes to progress, because dissatisfaction leads to progress and innovation.
Yes.
If nobody was ever dissatisfied, we would never have moved out of the caves.
We'd all be, huddled around a fire in a cave.
We would.
Going, oh, isn't this fire nice?
But I think there's a big difference between a desire to improve and a desire to just own everything for the sake of it.
Yes.
And I think we're talking about greed is the desire to own everything for the sake of it. Does that make sense?
It's not just owning stuff, but it's the power and the... And
depriving and the control. And there's a whole load of stuff that I think goes along with greed. When you say greedy, it conjures an image, doesn't it, of a certain type of...
Yeah, I mean, I think in...
White man.
In modern parlance, it's kind of...
Send me the hate mail! Not all men, hashtag. Sorry.
I think in modern language, greed kind of is associated with food, but like you say, that's where the gluttony is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's gluttony. So anyway, I'm gonna segue this into the 7 deadly sins of writing neatly. This is all about writing a book, and in writing, I think that greed shows itself as chasing likes and shares and social media instant gratification validation. Not just social media, but that kind of, you want comments on your articles and you want book reviews. And book reviews are really useful. And, last week's episode was an interview with Dan Laxton, who was all about how to get 1,000+ reviews on your Amazon products, which is because reviews are really, really useful, but you have to be chasing them for the right reasons and not just for the external validation. And I'll come to that in a second. So greed, basically, when it comes to writing a book, is like that is really going after that. It's that desire that will never be satisfied for external validation from other people. And there are several problems with this. Would you like me to explain?
Yes.
Good.
I feel like you have prepared for this, and I am not.
Yeah. So, problem the first, you can't bank likes and shares. I don't know about your bank manager, but mine won't accept those things.
That does not get your mortgage paid.
It does not. Likes and shares are mostly ego, although shares will introduce you to a wider audience. But it's only useful if you have a call to action that turns those likes and shares into new subscribers or new customers.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just instant gratification. It ignores the long game in favour of like the quick, shallow wins. If your likes and shares, if your comments, if your people saying, oh, I loved your book, or oh, I love this, or oh, I love that. If that doesn't turn into sales or other meaningful relationship building with readers and clients, it's pointless. You are forgotten almost as quickly as they've clicked like, because if you think how you use social media, and you're probably the same, and you're the same if you're listening, you're probably similar to me. You like scroll through almost mindlessly. Every now and then you see something like baby goats in pajamas, and you click like and you move on. I have no idea which page posted the goats in pajamas. So, I don't know. And so you throw a quick like at it. It's really rare that I click on something and spend enough time to decide that I want to go further and learn more about that person or the page. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, and this type of greed for external validation, another problem, is really, really shallow, because we end up putting, I was going to say our best face out there, but actually a face that we create for an audience that we think is gonna like it.
It's just gonna, yeah.
And so we're not real. And so and this is also a symptom, I think, of looking around at what everybody else is doing, at like Instagram influencers and whatnot, and going, oh, okay, so those people look like that. That means I have to look like that as well. Those people are saying that. That means I have to say that as well.
It's like the politician who, rather than having an opinion and a viewpoint and something they want to achieve, they just run a whole bunch of polls and start doing the popular stuff.
Yes. And they should do polls. They should find out, because before you can do stuff that is meaningful, you need to know what people want. And this is actually going off on a bit of a tangent. I was talking about this. Kevin interviewed me yesterday for his group. We were talking about, it's really important to distinguish between what people want and what people need, because you have to sell them what they want and then give them what they need. Because you can't, or people need less sugar and more healthy food. But if you try and sell people kale,
they do not want it.
They do not want it. So you have to sell people what they want and give them what they need. So that it's not stupid to do polls and things, but you can't just rely. That's the point. It's like there has to be a deeper layer beneath it. So you've kind of just made a good point there.
Kind of.
Anyway, yes. So we are kind of putting this persona on that we believe that will give us the best chance of attention and positive attention, and in hope that people are going to pat us on the head and tell us we've done really well, and that'll make us feel good. But the problem is it only makes us feel good for like 5 minutes, because unless that validation comes from inside you, it's not real. And I am terrible for this. I'm not sitting here and preaching at you about how external validation is terrible, because I'm awful for this, aren't I? I thrive on external validation. I need people's approval. It's terrible. I'm constantly struggling against it, and it's an aspect of my character that I hate. I really hate the fact that I need external approval, because it's bullshit. And so ultimately your true validation has to come from within. It has to be an inner game. And as soon as you've got that nailed, the likes and shares and stuff from other people, it's fine, that's great, then you can use it, but you must not use it as a form of validation for yourself and to make yourself feel worthy, because it won't work. It's like always trying to seek approval from like a parent or a teacher who just is never gonna approve of you, and like we were watching Sex Education, and the lad who got expelled, whose dad was the head teacher, I forget his name, and he's always seeking his father's approval, and he's never going to get it. It's never going to happen, because his father is an arsehole. And yeah, it's just, and so for him to chase that as a form of validation is just pointless. It's understandable, but
and
pointless.
I think as well, it also devalues if somebody likes you, and whether that's like in the real sense of being a person, or whether it's like clicking a button on a website somewhere. If somebody likes you, it's much more rewarding if they actually like you for something you stand for, something you believe, something you're doing, something that you are. Yes, rather than what you're doing. Something you're projecting, or something you're making up in order to make them like you. It's a much more real thing if they're appealing, if they are drawn to the real you. Yes. Exactly, yeah. And we can tie that back to writing a book as well. And this is like, you're not writing your book just to get likes and shares and appeal to a bunch of people that you think might be able to help you out in future, possibly. Mm-hmm. It's like, what do you want your book to do for your reader?
and for you. And that's where the deeper message lies. It's like, what message have you got that can make a difference in somebody's life and make a difference in your life? And that's what you put out there. It might not be the most popular opinion. It might not be the buzzword of the day. That doesn't matter.
There might be other ways to make more people click the like button.
Yeah. And even then, it's like, you know, this is about long-term goals as well, because this isn't just about selling your books and getting those clicks. It's about growing your business in the long game.
Mm-hmm.
So I would much rather have 10 wonderful people do one of my courses and then send me a copy of their freshly written book afterwards than like 1,000 people impulse buy it and then do nothing with it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And, you know, that to me is worth a lot more. It's like, yeah, okay, I might make like 10 times more money, but I would get a load of refund requests because there would be buyer's remorse. And ultimately that kind of validation, it means far less than the low numbers, because I don't care if 1,000 people do my course. If I don't get 1,000 books sent to me afterwards,
then it hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked. Yeah, it hasn't worked for me. It hasn't worked for them. And it's ultimately, in the long run, it means far less, because those 10 people that do write their book and do the things that they can, you know, use their book to grow their business, they're going to tell more people, and they're going to come back and buy more of my things because they know that I can get them results. Mm-hmm. Whereas those 1,000 people, if they just like, you know, if they're like, oh, I'm just going to do this and I'm not going to do anything with it.
They're just conned into clicking the button at 11 o'clock on a Friday night.
Yeah. Then they're A, going to dislike me for coercing them, or, you know, seemingly coercing them into it. B, not going to do anything with it. And they're never going to come back and buy anything from me again. And I'm not after just like a one-time buyer. I want people for the rest of their life.
You want a long relationship.
I do want a long relationship. And it's probably time to wrap this shit up. So, what's this week's takeaway, Joe?
Don't chase after quantity. Go for quality.
I love how you try to. It's like written right in front of you.
I know. I try desperately not to say what you've written.
But I'm a good writer, Joe. You could just say what I wrote.
No, quality, not quantity. Go for the quality.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cheer.
Yes. Don't be greedy for the shallow. Think about the long game, and remember that there is, even though sometimes it's scary, especially now, it's like, oh, I just need to bring in as much money as possible. It's not going to serve you in the long run, probably. So think about the long game, and stay safe out there, guys. Or maybe it's not possible to stay safe. Stay kind. Be kind. Be fucking kind to each other. Here's a parting shot. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of, like, I know that everyone's bored and everyone's stuck at home, and so busybodying on what other people are doing is like becoming a national pastime. But if you see somebody out there buying something that you think is non-essential, just spend a couple of seconds thinking about what their life might be like and whether or not it is essential to them. And also, if you see somebody has been in the supermarket twice in a week, maybe they're shopping for their neighbours, their elderly neighbours. Maybe they're an NHS volunteer. Hi, that's me. Maybe they're doing stuff, you know, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. So unless there's like a group of people having a massive picnic in the park, in which case, you know, call the police on their asses, just be kind.
Yeah.
Maybe spend a second and think, what are they doing actually? And is it reasonable?
Yeah, now is not the time for aggressive unpleasantness.
Yeah. And stay 2 meters away from people in supermarkets. The number of people who have been like, oh, people are like pushing past me and stuff. It's like, just be a little bit patient. Don't have a go. Like, one of my friends was in the supermarket. Bloke had a go at her because she was taking too long to choose from the shelf. And it's like, it's a one-way system. You're going to spend a bit longer choosing what you want. And also, don't be a dick. So, mind you, he did not know who he was messing with. Ashley is not somebody to be messed with. Anyway, next week, we'll be wrapping up the 7 Deadly Sins series, you will be happy to know, with Wrath. Tune in to find out how I'm going to twist rage into a podcast episode about writing a book.
Okay.
So many.
Good luck with that.
No, it's easy. Super easy. And the waiting list for my live blank page to book in 90 days course is going to be opening on May the 1st. The course starts on June the 1st, and you'll be able to join the waiting list on May the 1st. I will be putting stuff out everywhere. So if you're not already on my email list, go to moxiebooks.co.uk and sign up for my daily emails.
And then
I will let you know when the course is. Course is going to be fucking epic. We'll do a whole podcast episode in the next few weeks about what the course is going to be about. I'm really excited about it.
Cool.
Really excited. If you've listened to every episode, drop me an email with your postal address because I've got something silly to send you. And if you've liked this podcast, if you didn't like this podcast, other podcasts are available. If you do like this podcast, please go and subscribe on iTunes and leave us a review.
We do like a good review.
We do like a good review. And rate us.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Or however many stars that you think we deserve, but obviously that's 5.
It's not 5 stars. Why are you still here?
Yeah. And finally, I just wanted to say thank you to anybody who is an NHS worker or a key worker or a cleaner or a bin man or a hospital, anybody.
Or a postie.
Or a postie. Oh, I fucking love our postman. He's great. Hi, Colin.
Hi, Colin.
And just people who are volunteering and people who are still keeping the wheels turning, and Harriet for being my amazing assistant. We love you so much, Harriet, and we would have been coming to see you in a couple of weeks, and that's not happening now, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you to Podfly as well. Really, really thank you to Podfly because they're still working. I'm just quickly opening my email to just check.
Yeah, I think really it's hard for the people who are just like sitting around waiting for this to be over, and it's terrible for the people who've lost their jobs. But there's a lot of people working hard out there in reasonably risky situations, and they are, like I say, they're keeping the world turning.
Yeah.
You know, they're keeping economies alive, and they're doing hard, difficult things.
Yeah, they are. And I wanted to give a special shout out to Anne from Podfly, who sent me an email in response to one of our episodes, because she's the writer for our podcast show, so she does the show notes and stuff like that. And she just sent an email just to check in and see how we're doing, and hoping that we're safe from all the virus stuff at the dingle, and because she listens to all the episodes. She's in Costa Rica and they're on lockdown, and just wanted to check in and make sure us and the sheep are doing okay. And that just like literally made me cry, because it's just so lovely. And I am we went to Costa Rica on our honeymoon, and I'm determined to go. We're fucking going back there next year now, and we're gonna go and look up Anne from Podfly, whether you like it or not, Anne, sorry. And just thank you for carrying on doing an amazing job of our podcast.
Yeah, they do really good work.
We'll be back same time next week. Thank you so much for listening to our ramblings and watching our ramblings if you're on YouTube.
Tune in next week for a new exciting hair colour.
Yeah, because it will be a new hair colour, yeah. What colour is Joe's hair going to be? Place your bets now. Bye.
Bye.